chilling like a vanilla
And I think we are live. I can't see, but here we go.
Yeah, we're live. We're chilling like a vanilla villain.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere.
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said,
we didn't have alien for dinner that night.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs.
Yeah, UFO.
Out for a drive with a gal one night. They stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Two real cryptid legends doing what they do, bringing information for me and you. Ron Moorhead and his Sierra Sounds, Daryl Denton, the Tennessee Bigfoot Man, along with Michelle Desrochers, bring adventures across this land. So much information brought to you each week. Actively out there looking is the truth they seek.
As we close today's conversation, we invite you to take a moment to notice what stayed with you. The questions, the reflections, the places where something resonated. This is where the real exploration begins, in your own lived experience. You've been listening to Between Worlds on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, broadcasting on 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until next time, take care, kindred spirits.
1999.
What happened? You got bumped out.
Oh no, I dropped myself out. It was I was messing around with something. Welcome everyone to UFO Undercover. Hope y'all having a good evening, good morning, good afternoon from the whole big beautiful blue planet. You know, at one time this was the only show I did, the only show I had to worry about. But now that I'm retired, I actually have. Now that I started doing 4 or 5 shows, I don't have extra time. But
are you jealous that me and Michelle are on the most shows on the network?
Oh no, I got y'all by 2 shows, man. I got y'all by 2. And I think I got y'all by 1 actually, but still.
Yeah, but me and Michelle are on the good shows.
Yeah, get the hell out of here, man. Ain't nobody as good as me. Get the hell. Boy, they've been getting it. You know, whatever you smoke up there in Pennsylvania, you need to put some of that little packet and send that down here to Uncle Joe, man. I mean, Jesus.
Hey, it's not that expensive. I actually literally just got a $50 ounce from across.
That's a good price, man.
Yeah. Came from Reno. It took about 13 days to get here, but for $50, and it's it's THCA, not the really good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's gotta get you high. Yeah, before anybody asks, so THCA, it just takes more of it to get you hijacked. That's all.
It takes fire or heat, whether you cook it.
In the old days, what they used to do is they used to have these big ladles of rope because it's actually hemp. So they were about this big around and they were about this long, and they would cut them in those sections and they would just torch them bitches and stick them under like a barrel and just smoke them up. Kind of like the old days when you put hash in the pen and stick it in a glass. Well, this is just a little bit more extreme. Actually, it's actually quite a bit well written about. And then sometimes they had to do it outside because it created so much smoke. Well, hemp is really good for a lot of things. Not so much for getting you high, but it's really good for a lot of things. And it'll get you high. Don't get me wrong. But so just to put in perspective, if you go buy some, so the THCA is going to be probably about 35%. But the actual THC is going to be like 0.05, 0.09, where you're probably used to smoking 27. So it's kind of a give and take. So really, if you're going to do it by numbers, and I had to give it a number, I say if it was a 30 THCA, it'd probably be around a 14 on a regular THC.
And with the THC, you can actually ignore that and look for the Delta THC 9. Delta 9 THC. The higher that number is, the more powerful it will be.
Jack, well, they won't quite let you do the regular THC across state lines. It's not. It will be, but it's not yet.
Eventually. Well, and another interesting thing about hemp, since you brought that up, our very first president made it mandatory that anybody with a farm larger than 1 acre, like so, if you had 2 acres or more, you had to dedicate one of those acres to hemp production. And the reasoning behind that was for the Revolutionary War, we needed the hemp to make uniforms, rope, and sails.
Yes. Yep. And actually,
oils too. They used oils for it too.
Yeah, there was. I forgot. We had a guy came on once. He owned a hemp place in Seattle, and he had I think there was 80 uses for it, and some of them were commercial, pretty good commercial. Well, no, hemp clothes has been around for a long time. Before we even knew the shit could get you high. That's how somebody probably found out they were making some clothes and like, wow, man, I got licked. Yeah, then started seeing UFOs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Here, let me show y'all right quick. So y'all haven't seen.
Whoop.
If you experience this, please give me a
you popped us out.
No, I did, so they could see the.
Yeah, then you started talking. We couldn't hear you.
Oh well, they can imagine what I was saying. But if you see, if you ever experience something like that, you be sure to call me. Yes. Go write to me at icarcox.net. Yeah, put a bunch of little alien faces across the Yeah, so that way I know what it is. I get a lot of email, way more than I should. Well, I got rid of about half my emails now, so I got them down to about 10, 12, maybe 10. And this one right here, my Yahoo one, I was in a hospital for 11 days, right? 11 days. Couldn't get to where I could delete emails. The iCart email had over 85,000 emails in it. And that's before I got in the spam folder where there was another 15,000. It was just ridiculous. And so, needless to say, I spent a little while deleting stuff. I just deleted the whole thing, and then after that, I started finding the companies and fixing it where they couldn't come back in. Jojo Mon had around 55,000. It was ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of legit stuff in there, but a lot of it was just a lot of advertisement for stuff. And would you like to come join our network? No, not really. We're on our own network. We're quite happy here. My favorite alien. You mean the ones that we know to visit? The Greys by far. Don't get me wrong. So the reptilians probably technically my favorite, but no, the Greys, because you can't really count the light beings because they're just kind of like the Q. So you just got to give them kind of separate props. Yeah, because that's really what they are. They're like the Q.
Well, but go back to the reptilians real quick. I kind of like them too, even though there's an inherent fight or flight response to humans and reptilians on our planet.
But you know what? That's not.
They're casted off and tiered off, kind of like Star Trek. They've got.
But think about what you just said.
Royalty. They've got a tier that's engineers. They've got a tier that's scientists and all that. So they're departmentalized like Star Trek is.
Yeah. So, but think about what you just said. Prior to Jesus, the reptilians were revered all over the Middle East and European areas. And then
it's not until the story of Eden where they are no longer revered.
Yeah, that's right. And then, but they still are in Mesoamerica because Mesoamerica is running behind the times. Well, Jack, so this is what's so weird about this. We always talk about Atlantis sinking, and that's why both of them got technologies, not so similar things, but not really, because Atlantis would have had this thing before. Egypt is just 6,000 years ahead of the Incans, Mayans, and Aztecs. I don't know how else to say it. They're just that far ahead, or at least 3,000 years for sure.
Well, the earliest depiction of the reptilian gods is like 5,500 BCE from Sumeria, probably from the dig at Ur.
Oh, Mesopotamia.
Yeah, Mesopotamia. Yeah, I mean the cradle of civilization, so they say. Yeah. But we weren't there then. But that's when those idols are most prevalent. And so if we do the real time, we go back 2,026 years, and then 5,500 years. We're talking 7,526 years ago.
It's just it's kind of weird the way it worked out, because the reptilians were just loved all around the planet, and then they weren't. No, the Bible story you mean of Adam and Eve it's not the first time it appears. Neither is the Great Flood. So neither one of those stories appear first in the Christian Bible.
The first Bible flood story comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh and the episode of Atrahasis, who he is known. But there's two other stories from the same Sumerians. There's Utnapishtim, Atrahasis, and oh god, I keep losing the third one. There's a third name. Then none of them are Noah. The name Noah. Noah is more of a Middle Eastern name rather than a.
Yes, Noah's like 3,000 years later, 4,000 years later,
4,000 or 5,000 years later. Yeah.
Well, if you go by what the Sumerians say, the flood happened before them, and they were
way before.
Yeah. So
they're recanting traditional, like the Native American Indians, traditional tribal stories from thousands of years ago, and then it was before they had writing. So then they get writing. What's the first thing they write down, Joe? They invent writing. What is the first books they write down? They write down the Enuma Elish, which is basically Star Wars for people that are 7,000-8,000 years ago.
Man, they were bored.
Who would understand it? Nobody.
Yeah, they would have understood. It would have been like a great novel today. It would have been fun.
Well, the people who wrote it did, yeah.
All things falling out the sky and shit, but it could have been made into plays and shit.
But none of the citizens could read it. And
they didn't have to. Like I said, it could have been made into plays.
It would have had to be.
I mean, Hamlet. I was going to say Hamlet didn't get famous. Sorry. No, that's the play itself, John. No, it's my brain just brain froze for a minute there. But anytime when you look back at all the great works, usually it's because of word of mouth and people coming to see them. It's just
but population
not everybody could read
smaller and more concentrated too. People were more together, but
yeah, well, nobody could read back then anyway. What was it, like 1 in 10, 1 in 12 that could read? It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's easier to get together and have plays and. Well, not everybody was going to get to go to the ballet, but I'm sure some people got to. It's a different world, different strokes for different folks. But anyway, getting back to where we were on Samaria. So so this is what's so weird. So the creation story is all over the place. The creation story, like Adam and Eve, where God put us in a perfect place, and we effed it up. But that is not the Sumerians' story. Matter of fact, it's not the Toltecs, the Mayans, whichever one came first. It's not their story either. So everybody else got this nice clean creation story. Don't know where it came from. But here's the Sumerians say, oh, no. This race of omnipotent super being, human-looking kind of weird alien things that couldn't breathe the planet and built these great white dome cities came here and created these 7 creations, with the one before us being the last one. So what I mean, what the hell? So
and the weird thing about that race before us is called Adamu. In Egypt, it's called Adama, like Commander Adama. But everyone's got the word wrong. They think it means the first man. It's not. It's actually the 6th or 7th man. What it really meant was the first ones, and the implication was the first ones who were allowed to breed unchecked. Prior to that, the Anunnaki controlled all the. If they were breeding, they controlled the breeding. If they weren't breeding, they were cloning them. And it's a long, involved process. How long does it take? Even if you put some sort of genetic enhancers that make you grow fast as hell, how long does it take to grow a fully grown human being? Months, weeks, or a year or two?
That depends on the technology, really.
It depends on the technology. We don't know, but according to the stories, that the nature of the work was so difficult that they were losing slaves faster than they could reproduce them. So they had to go to rabbit style.
And there seemed to have been some talk about lack of resources, or because I guess they didn't have slaves to go out to get the resources they needed to create slaves. Jack was a weird. These are aliens on an alien world. I mean, it's not like they knew where everything was. I'm sure they had great equipment and all, and they were finding stuff. But they were not, and they could not live on this planet. They had to build, and I'm not even knowing if they actually built anything, or if they just didn't land 2 spaceships and were living in these big ass spaceships here,
or some kind of energy domes, whatever it
was. So because obviously they weren't, but then that's what's so weird about this. So they create the first creation, which is them that could breathe the air, and that creation for some reason got pissy because I guess they were doing a lot of the footwork. And they said, no, we're just supposed to be out here being the bosses because we can live out here. So we need to create the next slave race, which they started out to do. I'm going to get it in a minute, USA. And then so here we are. So what was it? What was it that made the reptilians that were living up there with the Dogon come down and say, you know what? I want to do the dirty with your slave. Was it because they cared about us? Was it because they just wanted to piss the human aliens off? Did they want to see an enlightened species on the planet? Is that what they were after? Because we sure to hell became enlightened.
One of the explanations for that is that there is some sort of conflict or rift, or perhaps even galactic war still kind of happening between the Anunnaki and the Greys and Reptilian who are working together. So that's kind of where we are with that. That's why they did that, was because they wanted to mess up whatever the Anunnaki were doing.
Well, it's kind of like, because the Dogon said it was because the reptilians had a thing about slavery.
Yeah,
they just had they were anti-slavery, which is probably because they got into it with the human race because they had slavery, and that's probably what it was all over in the beginning. God knows what it is now, but anyway, long story short, so here we have the reptilians are stealing these women, genetically enhancing these babies. These babies were being born brighter, smarter, and faster than the generation before. Eventually, there was enough of them to overthrow the overlords. God knows where they went. And I'm always curious, how did they take? So this is what confuses me, Jay. Think about this for a minute. So we know these human aliens created these aliens that were like them, that could breathe atmosphere, same exactly as them, except they could breathe the atmosphere. Somehow, the new humans managed to defeat them and the ones living in the cities. That you just, somebody had to help. There's no other way. There's no way some spear chucking Wonka humpers that just barely became sentient took. And I'm not telling you it could have been a million years, as far as I know, but it doesn't. There's some piece missing in the middle there. Or
there's a lot of information missing in the middle. And but the one thing is everybody's looking for one Garden Eden, one place where man was created. Now, the aliens, we know for a fact there's activity spots all over the planet from where we think they were. So, what's the plane? Tiwanaku.
That's good.
Ollantaytambo, all these large construction sites, ancient construction sites, and some are toppled over. So they didn't make just one group of people in one area. So think about this. They're in the desert of well, it's not a desert at the time. It's a rainforest. But you take people in the steppes on the lowest part of the planet, and you breed them to your specifications. Then you take them up to the highest mountains in the Andes and try to make them work the mines there. They wouldn't. The low atmosphere they'd all die faster. So, in order for them to get the work done efficiently, they very likely had Garden of Edens on every section of the planet where they were doing the work, and they were taking from the local animals in those regions to make humans. And that is probably the reason why we have 5 or 6 different colors of skins, 5 or 6 different shapes of faces and noses.
All right, now you better watch it get racist now. You know
it's not racist, it's actual fact. Look at everyone's got a different facial structure. Chinese people we know most Asian people we know from the slanted eyes and the eye coverings that are good for when they were farming in the rice paddies. It keeps the sun blocking their eyes. There's a lot of adaptations that are across the planet that are specified in specific reasons, and that's because they had to have farmed from those local regions to bring.
Well, that's not necessarily true. They could have just gave them equipment to do it, or suits. They didn't actually have to change the race. They could have just.
Well, I didn't say they changed the race. I'm just saying that they pulled from different animal species throughout the planet where they were doing the work, which is why we have the diverse types of human beings. It had anything to do with they were trying to make different groups.
But Ronnie says you on crack, dude.
Think about it. If you take a species from the lowest, from like zero level of sea level,
I would just give them a damn outfit
to work mines. They're going to die off very fast. So they had to have
put them in a suit, man.
Creatures that worked from each area to do those works.
I can't believe a race that could do genetic engineering wouldn't have types, because we know that
how else do you explain all the diversity? If they only made humans from one type of species on the planet, we would all
there's several. No, we would not be black, because it really, climate does play where you live, and how much clothes you wear also plays
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But first off, I don't how can I say this? So at least 2 races, probably the Asians and the Middle Easterners, probably were deposited here. The Middle Easterners talk about the jinn, and they get into great detail about it, and they do seem like maybe they may have been. The Asians are just fundamentally different in the way they think and look from most of the other people on the planet. So maybe they were. No, they said there was 3 implanted races. Well, if we're talking about the one we were just talking about, that's the first one. There's 2 others, and really and truly, when you get right down to it, there probably is only 2 others, because when it gets like to black or white skin, that's really more about where you lived than anything else.
That's environmental.
So really, there probably was the 3, and I think one of them, actually, to be honest with you, I think one of them was in South America. I don't think all of them were on it, because
I agree.
There just seems to be stuff in South America that just seems to be older. They found a skull down there that was 6 million years old. So I mean, that's they said it. What did the guys say? It was carried over on the waves from Africa.
But there's also the Human Genome Project, which pretty much mapped the whole DNA of our race, and they still don't know about 75% of it, but still they're able to map the different genetic styles of people, and the people of South America, Central America, and North America, the native people, the First Nation tribes, if you want to call them that, their DNA matches the haplogroup of Japanese and Koreans from Asia. All right. Then you've got, after that, you've got the European haplogroup, and then you've got the subcontinent of Africa haplogroup. So there's 3 haplogroups. That's it.
So, no, guys. It's not necessarily for us to get any deep in that, because we don't know where all this DNA comes from. Was someone from the Greys, or some of the reptilians, or some of the humans? Was there some other type of mix? We don't know. That has there been interference since then? Wait, before we, we're going to go back to that. Before we do though, USA's got a question up there, and I shouldn't even admit this myself, and I don't know if y'all know who Melinda Leslie is. We took on Carla Turner's work after she died. We did the first Coast to Coast appearances. We did a lot of work, and Melinda even came up with reabductions because of how much people were being taken, how many contactees were being taken by the government. So they were just calling it she came up with reabduction because they were being taken by the alien, and then later on they were being reabducted by the government.
But my labs, yeah.
So anyway, Carla's stuff was very dark. First time I got to and I somewhere on this computer or one of these computers, I have a bunch of it. I don't ever keep it on computers I work on because it makes me nervous. Also, I've got like some of the original hypnosis stuff from Dr. Simons with the Hills. I keep that somewhere else too. Whenever I'm working out, because that stuff, people want to hack that and get it, which I would give to anybody who asked. Give me like 2 months to find it, but other than that, but stuff was dark. There was a lot of stuff going on, and she'd been threatened quite a lot, and she'd been threatened with her life, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 she had stage 4 cancer, and she was dead. And we got as much of her work as we could find, everything we could get our hands on. And like I said, we went on coast to coast. We went on quite a few radio and TV shows. She went on tour and was talking about it on tour. Any place that I would be speaking at, a lot of times people just ask me about it, even though that's what I wasn't there to speak about. So for contactees, and this is, we don't even get to talk about this much, but some of the stuff that went on through the dark years is just horrible things. First off, not just from what the aliens were doing, but what the government was doing. So in some cases, it seemed like this dark government who were taking these people, men in black, whatever you want to call them, who were taking these people, were performing experiments not much unlike what the aliens were doing in areas where they could. And some of these would even be called Hitler-esque. I actually heard that on several occasions because of some of the stuff that had been done. And because the government was doing it, they were not always good enough to fix it like the aliens could do it. Like the alien take your arm off, put it back, you wouldn't notice. Uncle Sam put it back. It's kind of like, oh, room. It's like, what? It's further this way. What the hell? I should make fun of it because it's not really a laughing matter. There was some seriously scary shit that went on there. I heard her speak several times. I was actually not going to get into it. It was really, I had actually been asked to stay away from it, told to stay away from it. But the more I read, the more I heard, I was like, shit, and because I was doing abduction research, I didn't have a choice. I had to look into it. And the more I looked into it, we got into it. And then finally, Melinda Leslie, who was a friend of mine, which I haven't talked to in a while, which I need to give a call, shame on me. But anyway, we got to working on this and we came out with a lot of stuff. I mean, matter of fact, the episode on Coast to Coast is still available. You can probably find it on one of our podcast sites somewhere. It's a good episode. There's a lot of material in it. We talked about a lot of what went on in Carl Turner's life. I mean, she was brave, guys. She stood up and she basically said, well, you know what? I'm going to put this out no matter what. And she did. Well,
and another aspect of it could also be perspective and Hollywood. So I think most of the times when you get the evil stories of abductions, it's probably going to be they're remembering a MyLab experience. However, let's examine Travis Walton real quick.
Hey, Karen.
Travis Walton was, after his experience, he was traumatized, and he'll even admit to it. But he wasn't traumatized like you see in the movie where they do all this stuff and he just screams his head off. He said none of that is true. All of that's Hollywood. So there's that aspect of it. But then you also have the aspect of the human mind. So we have an objective brain. So if you had two farmers that have crops, one farmer A, we'll call him, he's got a great crop. It's coming in nice. It's well watered. It's doing good. Farmer B's got a crop that's failing. It needs water, and he's not able to keep it irrigated, and it's starting to die on him. A few moments later, a huge thunderstorm comes through, drowns out Farmer A's plot of farm and kills his farm, and then goes over Farmer B's and brings it back to life. Now, if you go and interview those two guys, Farmer A is going to say that the storm was evil. Farmer B is going to say, oh, the storm was a godsend. It saved my crops. That's the objectivity. Depending on how they view what's happening to them, it's going to be in their mind. It's not necessarily it may not necessarily be that the aliens themselves are being mean or evil. It's just that it's what they're doing is perceived by the experiencer in either a negative or positive way.
Yes. I'll make this real simple for you people. If you watched 9/11 when the towers were blown up, you see most of America bawling its eyes out, but yet you see people around the world and in our own country cheering like a big party. It's all in your perception of things. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately, when you got 8 billion people, and with 8 billion people, we're just not going to all get along. We got bad Karen in the room. We got to keep an eye on her, man. She's
yeah.
It's what is I reading up here? Let's see. What was this one? I love the reptilians. I think they're nice and cute and sweet and stuff. They like to hug you and things. They're all soft too. Well, it's funny you said that because originally, if you read a lot of the Aztec, Mayans, and Incans writings, and even some of the Egyptian writings, you'll find out that yes, the reptilians were here to keep us from getting wiped out by somebody. I'm not sure it was the human type aliens, even though they can be kind of pissy. I'm not sure it was them, but still, by somebody. Well, somewhere in the past, and I mean in a distant past, long before we were sentient species, there was some kind of galactic war going on. They give the light beings credit. They actually give the light beings credit for building a super race called the Greys that ended the war. The Greys started growing these ships, the millions, and I think they said by the billions.
Living spaceships. You'd have to do by the billions, especially if it was a galactic wide, and we don't know the full story. Again, we weren't there.
Yeah, we don't.
If the war was spanned the entire galaxy, you would need billions of troops to quell such a conflict.
So James, they do say, and a lot of contactees say that the light beings are from a different galaxy. Now, over the years, I used to think about the distance between galaxies is vast, and how long did it take them to get here? But then I had forgotten about something. We have galaxies crashed into our galaxy, like Sagittarius. Sagittarius may have been what deposited Earth here, or at least the stars.
Why we have a Sagittarius and an Orion arm.
Yes. So we don't actually know. The light beings might have been in that galaxy. They said they were coming from a dying galaxy. Poof. That makes total sense. And there's at least 5 others that we're eating right now. So that may have been where they came from a long time ago. We're talking millions of years, but still. No, there's not supposed to be any galactic wars right now. It's supposed to be pretty much peaceful and friendly and construction mode. And races like ours are supposed to be coddled and watched and not allowed to blow shit up. Not here. If you want to blow shit up on Earth, that's fine. Just nowhere else. And matter of fact, if the Greys state of truth and the reptilians do, we won't even be allowed to blow shit out once we get past Jupiter. If we start causing problems, they'll intervene. I don't know. Maybe
because that's outside of. Well, I guess maybe they consider the gas giants the border of the end of their control. So outside of that, I would even say outside the Oort cloud. If we leave the gravitational area and Oort cloud of our solar system, that would constitute entering their territory, and therefore they would absolutely stop us. Yeah.
What do they call it? The something sphere. It starts with an M. I can't think of the damn name of it. The big bubble we're in. The solar system, the big bubble we're in. The thing that reaches out each and where we get to very close to the end.
Well, there's
some name for it.
Meniscus is in the water. I don't know.
No, anyway, don't worry about it. It's not that important, but it'll pop into my head sooner or later. It's there's so much information out there. Well, yeah, like in the movie Taken, yes, Martha, exactly. So the Greys have been known to do shit like that. Not worse than that. Worse than that, the humans have been known to retrieve their contactees from military, from mil abductions. And from what witnesses said and the contactee said, it was not a pretty scene. The last 9 or 10 I talked to said no one even survived. Don't take their people.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that person is to them, it's
think about it. It might take a lot, but you piss off a billion-year-old race that has technology that we can't even imagine what their technology is, but you piss them off, they're going to disappear you.
Yes. Unalive you, man. The new saying, the unalive. They're going to unalive you, my friend. I don't know. There's a lot of hate in the universe and in our world. When I look at our world today, there's only one way we're getting into deep space, and that's as a united planet.
Yeah, we have to unite the resources of the planet. All this petty fighting is going to absolutely interfere with trying to extend our race into the galaxy. We need another planet. Who's the new billionaire? I forget his name. One of these new billionaire idiots wants to do like the experiment in Spider-Man where Doc Ock makes a sun. And then he realizes that he can't control it. And if he doesn't stop it, it's going to destroy the planet. So some billionaire who wants to do this, great idea. Let's do that on another planet. Let's get a planet that we can live on as a second base and do your experiment there. Because then if your experiment explodes and goes wrong and kills the planet, you don't kill the rest of us in your idiot, stupid experiment.
Why is this thing? I'm beginning to wonder what is going on with StreamYard.
There's been some weird activity with it lately, yeah.
I was overlooking because I was downloading something. I don't know. It's weird.
I was actually trying to find like a StreamYard video tutorial, like how to use it, what feature does what, how to operate each.
It's been making weird mistakes lately. But anyways, we ain't gonna worry about that right now. So first off, y'all, they're pushing life way back.
Oh God, yeah, it has to be.
And now we have scientists coming out saying that we probably were put here. Maybe it's an experiment, maybe something else. So, I've talked about this millions of times in the 30, 40 years I've been doing this. There's really only 3 explanations for man. God put us here, panspermia put us here, or extraterrestrials put us here. Yeah, there is no other explanations besides those. And look, I'm open to any of the 3. I'm not going to hate. Maybe it's a combination of all 3. Maybe God created the universe. I had noticed somebody had made a interesting comment earlier, and I kind of believe that. So maybe God created the universe, and the universe took it from that point and started creating life and beauty. Maybe that's what its job was. God was just to get the fire going. No, I kind of feel that way sometimes because this universe we live in doesn't feel like it came from a really nice, super omnipotent being that loves everybody. I mean, this is a dangerous freaking place. Our planet is a dangerous place. Just shit, the galaxy is outrageously dangerous.
It's funny you mentioned that. As a kid, we grew up Catholic, went to Catholic churches and all that. And I usually was the last one in the car, and I was usually being dragged, kicking and screaming, not wanting to go. But the weird thing is, I lost my train of thought. What did you just say a moment before that? You're muted.
Hell, now I forgot.
Oh, crap.
We were talking about God. I know that much. We were just talking about the way we could have came here through panspermia or through extraterrestrials.
Yeah, thank you. Now that I brought my train of thought. So the weird thing is about this planet. Of all the species on this planet, we have the least amount of hair. Every other mammal is covered in 85% or more.
Have you ever met them Italian guys, man?
There's no. Even the hairy Italian guys don't have shit on an actual ape. Pardon my French. That's the first factor. Number two, we're the only species on this planet whose sweat is of a different pH than the pH of our eyes, which means it burns when our sweat gets into our eyes. Gorillas don't have this problem. When a gorilla sweats, his sweat is the same pH as the liquid in his eyes, so it doesn't burn his eyes. Weird, right? Here's another weirdness. Of all the creatures on this planet, only our blood is exactly 100% the exact same ingredients as what's in the oceans. The ocean and our blood are identical. They don't belong here. The ocean is allegedly brought here from some cataclysm, and it made its way to us through the solar system from Mars, and probably so did we.
There's more evidence every day that we came from Mars.
Oh yeah, man, that's just 3 or 4 things that I've come up with over 48 years.
Well, I got into I was doing a lecture. Well, I think I was in DC, and I was talking about this in DC, this and the reptilian brain and stuff. And this professor comes up and says, "No, we're from Earth. We can prove it." I said, "No, we've never been able to prove we're actually from Earth." I said, "Well, here, let me post this," and I posted one of the links I had up, one of the cards I had up. And I said, "You see," I said, "this is all scientific." I said, "You can check out the peer review on this." I said, "The optimal body temperature for a human is, I think it was 63 degrees Fahrenheit." And I said,
I think it's 72 degrees.
Well, no, it was the Earth.
If you're talking about the atmosphere temperature.
Listen. No, the optimal temperature on Earth is like 73 degrees. On Mars, it was 63 degrees, which is the same for humans to work in.
Well, we also, our natural clock is, it's a weird number. It's like 24.69. It matches Mars.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's almost identical to Mars.
Not Earth. So our clock right now would naturally read out as 24 point whatever for this planet, 24.244 to the infinity. But if you go onto the space station, the ISS space station, and you spend a week or a month up there, your body clock reverts to the Mars day.
Actually, your body clock on Earth is set to 24 and a quarter. Actually, 24 and a little more than a quarter hour, and that's just what it's set at. And you can tell. So if you keep track of your time, especially with stuff to do with leap years, you'll notice that you're actually off from the actual time of the planet itself. And we're not the first ones to even talk about it. This has been around for a long time, but we're out of sync with the planet. We're not from Earth, people. We're not. This is why do you think guys try so hard to kick us off this place? And it's just like, get off my planet.
Well, see, the problem with that is, and I believe George Carlin is right, the planet required plastic. So the planet sent out a galactic signal, I need idiots. Somebody dropped us here. We made plastic. And when planet Earth is satisfied that she has enough, planet Earth will shake her back like a dog and knock us right off the planet. Done deal.
And by then we'll be living on Mars. We won't have to worry about it.
We'll be living on Mars.
We'll be making plastics on Mars. No, Jesse, really though, it is, it sounds funny, but it is true. Our body is set for a different planet, both in the temperature we should be living in. And it's not just that. The gravity on Earth is harsh on our bodies, more so than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a question. How many, besides dogs, and you have to remember, dogs eat a lot of food that we give them. Other animals get arthritis. Not many.
Most animals don't even really get sick. If you notice, I mean, they might get the occasional chill or cold or sniffle from either an allergy to pollen or to extreme cold temperatures, but they don't. I mean, only since they've been domesticated by us and we've been feeding them particularly processed food. You give your dog a Twinkie, not a good idea. That's when all the weirdness is. I mean, it's happening to us. I mean, thank God we finally have some health people in an administration that are going to try to, eliminate the foods that are killing us.
Well, Jack, you feed your dog GMOs, but you won't eat GMOs. Get the hell out of here. You should never feed your dog something you wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, so kibble, dry food, if you're going to give them dry food, give them a vitamin supplement, because most dry food, the way it's cooked, most of this vitamins are cooked out of it.
It's bad, yeah, and it's bad for them. Or you have to supplement, like what I do particularly for I've never had a dog. This is the first time I had a dog, so I don't know how to. I don't want to give him food all day long because he'll just get fat. He just gobbles everything up. But with the cats, I have an automatic dry food gravity feeder. And because the economy, we can't, we're not doing it as much because it's expensive. But when the economy is good, they get dry food that they can access any time of the day or night. And then in the morning, they get a wet can. There's one can open for each animal of the kitties. And then at night, at dinner time, they are given another wet
you're
can.
as bad as my wife. Jesus, man.
Cats are really cool people, though.
My old man and my grandpa's alive. He'd shoot both of us, man. He'd tell you every day. You're only supposed to feed your animal one time a day. That's it. You're supposed to feed them X amount of food, and that's it, one time a day. He said dogs' digestive systems are different than ours, and it takes them longer to go through food and certain types of food, and that's why you don't feed them it. It's like grapes. Did you know grapes were deadly to dogs? Grapes.
I had heard that, yeah.
So people, chocolate is not exactly deadly to dogs, but 1/8 of cocoa powder will kill your dog dead as a doornail. But milk chocolate doesn't have enough cocoa in it. It's too diluted to do it.
Yeah.
And so they said, your dog could eat a couple of chocolate bars, but just and they're talking not even like a fingernail full of cocoa would kill your dog. Poof. Garlic and onions will kill your dog. I don't know how, because Charlie ate so much garlic and onion. He made it to 18 years old, so. Because he'd eat my hamburgers, and I never cooked a hamburger without garlic, onion, and bell pepper and shit in it. I mean, come on. Who wants a nasty, dry burger? Nah, we leave them for that. What's that guy's name? Sean. Yeah, that weird guy. His name is Sean. Yeah, he's weird. We do have new shows coming on the network. Michelle was telling me all about them the other day, but I can't remember a damn thing she told me except for the one we just played a little while ago. Huh? Because that's her job. When it's important, she makes me listen. No, really. You think I'm playing, but no. Just like, we need to know this, that, or that. I don't know. I think I'll talk to them tomorrow, so I'll find out. Actually, number one thing holding us right now from our new channel is I'm looking for a red banner. I haven't thought about trying to create one in here. Maybe I'll try to create one in here.
Yeah, we got that new the new AI thing.
So how do you put names on that thing?
You have to tell it what like if you wanted to say something, you have to say I want a background picture with yada yada blah blah blah, and a chat bubble with the words blah blah whatever you want it to say. So let me do this real quick since we're going on that. We'll drop us out of the picture for a second and we go to media.
Break time, people. We can talk about off topic stuff on break time. We're not making y'all listen to a commercial.
So here's one of the ones I did for the chat for Saturday's show, and I said, give me a UFO with a chat bubble that says the chat. Well, if you look at the UFO, UFO is the chat bubble. It's got the little comma at the bottom of it, and then it's a UFO and it's glowing, and then it says the chat.
So that thing should be circling, should be going going around in a circle saying we want to chat.
Or the light should be rotating and blinking in colors. Yeah, there's all kinds of different cool things, edits and things.
Yeah, just the words. That's all.
But
just been just the chat.
Here's another one that I asked for. I said, give me a picture with a reptilian alien and a marquee that says the chat. That's what they gave us. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
But then we were just goofing around. This is the one you did.
I thought I deleted that one. Oh no, I deleted the other one. No, I deleted. I took one. I took a couple of them out. That's a new.
I did one for Jeff's show. He freaked out like, wait, there's a new one here. And I was like, yeah, I made that for us. And I wanted a circus.
You should have said that's going to be $99.99, Jeff.
Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, but then goofing around. These are the ones I was goofing around with. Here's a goofy, silly one.
Yeah.
Wrecked out UFO alien smoking a joint in the atmosphere there.
Hey,
but those are the cool things you can do. Oh, who did this one?
Oh, I did that one today. Cool. No, I did that one the other day. There's a
Cosmic Sanitation.
Yeah, see him come out.
Well, what's with the little Emperor Palpatine dude? There's two of them.
I know there are, and then there's some kind of glowing thing in a garbage can over here, whatever it is.
Yeah.
People, that's just stuff. We're always looking for banners for the show. So.
Oh, look, it's Jeopardy. Oh no, that's not Jeopardy.
We have not done one for news on the flip side yet. No, we have not.
We've only just started playing with it, people. They just gave it to us like a week ago.
We've done one for all of our shows except for we'll probably play like this week.
Hey Heidi.
Anyway, getting back to where we were. Hello, where are you from? Mitchell Herdwarn. Okay. Where are you, Mitchell? Oh, see, so good. You wrote where you were. No, that's no, you know how to recognize your town. I can't went out of my head. It's from a sci-fi TV series, a spinoff of Doctor Who, because that's where they are in Cardiff.
Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah, they're in this town of Cardiff, and Jack Harkness is running the thing. For some reason,
Cardiff is actually a city in Wales.
Yeah, I can not this. This is where they are. This is
that's where they got the idea from, or the name anyway.
They no, so there's a couple of something wood. What the hell was it? Torchwood. That's it. I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah, it's Torchwood. Like they're Torchwood's like their men in black.
So they land in Cardiff because there's a rift there. And that's where the TARDIS recharges itself.
Oh.
Yes. You rookies didn't know that. Shame on you, Jay. You didn't know that. That is 2 brownie points, man. That's 2 brownie points.
I kind of stopped watching the new Doctor Who's after Matt Smith.
I can argue with you about that. There's a point where you had to cut off Doctor Who.
Yeah.
No, I'm up to date on him. I just had to watch it when I could watch it. Well, it's kind of like Star Trek Academy. I'll watch the first season out, and then after that, I'll probably just watch it whenever. It's got potential, but it's also don't have potential.
There's potential for it to go south bad, and I'm talking deep south bad.
It's got
deep
issues.
woke, not necessarily south. South.
So anyway, getting back to the question that was being asked. So, according to the government, they believe that Carla Turner was assassinated.
Really?
That's what they think. And then, of course,
assassinated with stage 4 cancer. How do you do that?
I don't know, but they're not the first person that said somebody gave him cancer.
But a lot of researchers have said the same thing. That there was an anomaly here. How many female hosts, former hosts, and current hosts got the same issues all at once? Remember? I mean, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it happens. And some of her work suggested they had this thing where they could they grew this stage 4 cancer, and then they would put it into with a long needle and just put it in your liver or put it wherever in your different places in your body, and then it would just go. Well, that's what a lot of people said. Something else was which we can't talk about on here, but not on this show anyway. But a lot of people seem to think that was what was going on. A lot of people in the field were getting sick. It was very funny. So through the 60s, 70s, and maybe to the early 90s, people being assaulted, arrested, tortured, picked on that way in the field, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
It could still be happening. Nick Pope is suffering now from stage 4 laryngeal cancer. That's of the throat.
Yeah, but it stopped, and the reason it stopped was the government realized, oh shit, this is the best cover up we could have. No, they've actually said it. It's been said on multiple occasions by different people in the military, and even the industrial complexes said, come on. They were flying F-117s around. Everybody were reporting them as UFOs, so nobody took it serious. And it was the most stealth fighter bomber ever built at the time.
Yep.
Now, they've been flying around.
They actually had the 2 platforms going on at once, because you got 2 different areas that would light up with the triangles. And one was over the Las Vegas corridor, one was over the Ohio corridor. And then there was a third one, which was one of the experiments taken off of, out of our airspace.
There's a way to get from the East Coast to the West Coast by flying through restricted airspace. Mm-hmm. There's actually a corridor it's kind of jiggy jaggy, but there's actually a corridor there. We stumbled across it when we found the one that left the Boeing East, the Boeing East facility, East California, East facility in California, near the border, eastern border in California. We found out about it because we were doing that investigations on Stevensville, and we were in Stevensville, so it was a straight shot, straight across. When we went back and looked, there was a no-fly zone, a nice wide no-fly zone across that whole area. Of course, you had area 50, 51, 52, 53, and 54, so God knows what's in all. And then you had the Nellis testing range, White Sands, all of that stuff.
Well, basically, most of Nevada's airspace is restricted.
Yeah, a good bit of New Mexico's is. And
if you look at the map of the state of Nevada, anyone who's interested, you can do an internet search wherever you are. The center of Nevada is basically the entire Air Force base called Nellis. But then there are sections off that they rent. There's parts where the Navy, the U.S. Navy has facilities at Area 51, things like that nature. But basically, the entire state's just a top secret research center for the government.
So, Jack, who do you think runs Area 51? The military works for the people who run Area 51.
The people who are in control of the actual facilities, the above ground facilities at the Groom Lake facility, that would be the CIA.
Oh, you think it's the CIA? I don't know. You think?
Well, so in my research in the 40 years,
that's what they said it was the CIA, but I bet you
that's what they said. So here's the brief history as fast as I can get it for you.
No, wait, before you don't even need any history for this. State for me. What does the Central Intelligence Agency do? Where is their
spy on our enemies?
That's right, outside of the country, not inside of the country. The National Security Agency runs everything inside the country. So CIA may be there, but they are not in charge of the facility. Don't ever let them bullshit you, because that's not how the alphabet.
That's probably the correct answer. I was going to get to that, and that would have been part of the history. So the way Area 51 began, it started in the Manhattan Project, and they sectioned off that central area of Nevada by areas, Area 1, 2, 3, 51, etc.
What they did.
And Area 51 is where is also known as I believe it's known as the Trinity site, where they tested they had enough material to make 3 bombs at World War II. 2 they dropped on Japan. The first one they were reluctant to light off because they didn't want to be without a backup in case the first 2 didn't work.
Yeah, I think they had those at Los Alamos too.
Yeah.
Look, when we talk about this, because that's splitting hairs, because technically, if you look at a map from above, you have Los Alamos, you have Area 51, you have Area 52.
Los Alamos is
I mean, the whole thing, though, there's like that's what I'm saying, because White Sands is also in New Mexico. It makes like a giant effing square.
Yeah.
The whole section is just everything inside of it is pretty much, well, if you don't belong there, you don't go there.
Yeah, it's the most secure area of our country. Well, so anyway, going back to what the Area 51 thing, they lit off the first material for the bomb, and I don't know if they blew it off in New Mexico, but I think they did it in Nevada at the Area 51. Well, the site's called the Trinity site, and that's where they tested that. That's the significance of it. So it's a highly irradiated area. But in 1957, the CIA got they sold a contract to Northrop to build a spy plane. That would be the U-2, and they needed a place to house it, work on it, build it, test fly it, and run missions with it from. That's where Area 51 comes in. The CIA found that plot and said, that's what we want, and it was given to them. The contract to build the facilities was given to a company called EG&G, who built the initial hangars and runways. And at some point, Northrop Grumman was given their own facilities there, where they would bring in and not just design, but fly and test fly almost all of our spy plane network from there, and some of our fighters. But the facility was given to NSA for control purposes. And the like I said, the Navy has facilities there. The Air Force has facilities there. It's basically our high-tech spy and fighter plane facility. Now, are there aliens at Area 51? No. Not on the surface, not ever that I've ever heard of. all I ever hear people saying, "Oh, there's aliens there." No, if there are any underground facilities underneath the runways and buildings at Area 51 or Groom Lake or Dreamland, whatever you want to call it, that is a different story, and those would be where aliens are. However, I don't believe that there are much but a few levels underground for storage and some top secret stuff at Area 51. The top secret shit is really over in the mountains in S4, Area 53, 54, and 55, and so on.
Yeah. Clara from New Mexico said, "Hey, don't be taking their glory." The bomb was July 16th, 1945 in the desert of New Mexico in a 100-foot tower at the Alamogordo bombing.
Alamogordo.
Yeah. 200 miles south of Los Alamos.
And yes, still Area 51 was. It's also they did test radioactive devices on it.
But they did some nasty stuff. They were also burning nuclear waste. I don't know whose idea that was. That was what caused the lawsuit. Was the burning of toxic waste? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's how we. Well, Jack, that's how we originally found out that Area 51 actually really existed, even though everybody thought it did. There was no, and by the way, in no court records do they ever use the term Area 51. They just said undisclosed base.
Or I think they also did. I think they did call it Dreamland in the case.
Man, so
no. I'm sorry. I think they called it the Groom Lake facility because the dry lake bed there is actually called Groom Lake. So I do believe they did mention Groom Lake at some point during the trials there.
Well, Donnie, technically it doesn't have a name. Yeah. It's never officially, as far as our government is concerned, it does not exist. It does not have a name.
Funny enough, that the radio tower changes names frequently, so people don't know really what it is. Yeah. In the 90s, during when In Living Color was a very popular comedy show, it was called Homie Ranch.
Yeah, they just
as in Homie the Clown. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's still out there. I mean, they took it. They absorbed a much larger part of the property, and of the area. So, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be what it used to be out there. Well, you have to remember, I mean, everybody has satellites. People are allowed to fly over our area now with part of the treaties we have. Russia flies over every so often and has a good look around. We do the same with them, but I mean,
well, it's funny you mention that because most of the non top secret photographs of Area 51 that started coming out in I'd say that at the earliest, the latest, late 70s, 78, 79, with the first real rumors of it coming to public. And that's when we started getting pictures of it, satellite pictures of it. The Russian government during the Cold War was permitted to fly over at a certain time every day and photograph those top secret areas. Yeah, and you notice when they do fly over, it's pristine. You don't see even a car parked in the areas where there would be people working, but you can see the facility quite clearly. I mean, it's the longest runway on the planet still.
Actually, Janice, one of our investigators staked out the airport, and they recorded, I think, 11 Janice flights a day. That's not coming and going. That's one way. Yeah.
Yeah.
A decent size 727. That's a decent size airplane.
727 holds at least 200 people.
Yeah. Originally, they were DC-10s, but they've been upgraded to 727s. 727 is a workhorse jet. That's why they use it.
Mm-hmm.
Reliable, dependable. Doesn't have a tendency to fall out the sky too often.
And from flight to landing, it's only about a 45-minute puddle jump anyway.
Yeah. Well, in the very, very beginning, somebody said they were using those. They look like those old Elvis jets. That's what they look like. But then everyone I ever seen that were a decent sized jet.
Yeah, and then they're plain. There's no name. There's only a tail number and a red stripe right across the windows. And most of the time, the windows are black. They're like permanently shut.
Yeah, they're not allowed to watch. The windows have to be closed, going and coming. Well, I mean, it's not hard to find Area 51 there. Anybody can find it. I've been out there a couple of times, so it's yeah, man. They let me right in. They ain't got no problem with that. I got a Class 10 security clearance. I can go right in there. They don't care. You know, hey Joe, how you been, man? What you doing? You ain't gonna just stand at the gate with the idiots. That's what always freaks them out when I go knock on the thing and hit the buzzer and take my ID out and go, shh. And the gate goes, shh. They're like, what the? What? No, because it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if I had the highest clearance, which is not that much higher than what I have. You still wouldn't get to see anything. everything there is need to know.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go in and go for a tour, and they might show us a cafeteria, maybe some weird experimental labs, maybe some really big. They got this one particular hangar. It just when you open it, it opens and just goes straight up into the air. And it's funny. It's round. I would say 500 feet around, but still, it's big. I don't. What the hell? I know what they keep it in there. Hell, if I know, they're gonna tell me.
According to Robert Lazar at S4, a facility there has 9 hangar bay doors, and there may be more, but he only saw 9. And they're mechanical doors, but they are made to look like the side of the mountain. And when they roll up, inside he suspects are 9 different alien type craft. However, he only saw 1 door open and 1 craft.
Well, they got the primary door. So I'll help you out with this primary door thing. So if you go look at, there's a Boeing facility in East California. It's one there where they do a lot of wind testing on wing types. They have this pylon that comes up out of the ground, and they put these wings on, and they can test with these high-speed things. Mm-hmm. So at first we thought this thing on behind it was like where the thing would come down would be wind, right? No. This is a hangar. At least 3 times the width of a 747, if not more. I would say you could park 3 aircraft carriers tip to nose, and it would still not fill the hole. So that's why we thought originally it was some kind of like giant wind tunnel thing, because the pylon's right there in front of it. But then they show another thing that comes up for the wind thing, so that's not what it is. So apparently, because the pylon for where the wingtip is will go all the way down and go flat to the ground, and it does look like a runway in front of it. I don't know what the hell they'd be parking in there, Jay.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in, like, Northern California, Central Nevada, and has been for, I'd say, how long ago was 47? 70 years?
Yeah, so the reason I bring it up is so that's the size of the number 1 hangar at Area 51. It's hangar number 1, and that's the same size of it. And then there's hangars that range from anywhere from 50 feet across to 50 yards across. There's several different size hangars. And if any of what they say is true, some of them go back very deeply, miles back, down and back, because we could be keeping anything in there. And if they were trying to figure out a way to keep ET from coming by and beaming them out, I would imagine they would have found some type of mountains with some kind of weird stones in a reflective anything and just start going under it until the radar didn't reach them anymore, or whatever.
I would imagine that Mother Nature is still a major confound for even advanced technology like the Greys might have.
I'm not saying the aliens couldn't see it. I'm just saying maybe they couldn't beam it up. Maybe they would have to physically go get it. Maybe it was too much rock or something. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they couldn't see it. Their sensors can probably see all the way through our planet, but that doesn't mean anything.
There may be a certain rock. Maybe it's uranium. Maybe it's lead. Maybe it's antimony. Whatever's in the
rock. And that area out there is pretty contaminated. Yeah. That whole area on the backside of Groom Lake is all contaminated. It's where they were burning and dumping all that radioactive waste.
Yeah, it's all radioactive, almost all of it.
And last time I was out there, they kept asking me about this person named Heidi, and I was like, "What?" And they said something about the Greys wanted to know who Heidi was. I was like, "Oh shit, I don't know." I said, "I don't know if I know Heidi," and they're like, "Oh no, Joe, the Greys want to know." So, if you work with us and your name's Heidi,
if the Greys say they want to know, the Greys already know.
I'm thinking you've been probed. That's what the sticker should say. You've been probed. Jack, we don't hear about them as much anymore. Think about it. How many new cases have you heard about? I mean, there's new cases, but there's not like overwhelming people coming forward. Now we're kind of going backwards. The Z-Gen and the millennials are kind of shy about talking about their experiences. Do you want to know why? Because they're nutsy already. They don't need to add nutsiness to them.
Well, there's a couple of weird ones that just are coming back to light. Do you remember C.J. Bledsoe?
Sort of.
Claims he was abducted, and I don't remember how long ago. But he was abducted soon after a chance where his company collapsed. He was on the brink of financial disaster, and his health was diagnosed as having Crohn's, which was a deadly, at that time, diagnosis. after his abduction, he was returned with several people. That there were 3 or 4 of them abducted at once. They had him and I think his son and 2 friends had gone fishing, and then went missing. And then 4 hours time is part of the story, missing time, and he's also cured of the Crohn's. Bring any memories back?
You get lots of cases like that. I mean, there's a lot. I don't remember that particular one, but I mean, there's so many different cases that I've heard over the years, and there's been a lot of cancer cases where people have been cured.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Jackie, the two most famous ones I know is the girls in California, but there's a lot of cases. There was a gentleman in Japan, in Tokyo actually, who had been told that get his affairs together. He had about 6 months, and they told him go home, make his peace with whatever his God was, and he said he was going to call the aliens. And of course, the doctors probably just laughed at him.
Yeah.
6 months later, no cancer, no nothing. Not even and the best part about it is when you get an ET when the ET fixes you, they fix you. They fix the damage.
Yeah.
So it's not like you never had it. Yeah, them two in California.
Good segue. So that because I was going to bring this up right at the end of this. No, there's no evidence of the damage. There's more cases, I think, than of healing with babies being taken, and babies that are pregnancies that are verified, documented. There's sonograms, there's heartbeat data, there's EEGs. They know that the woman is pregnant. They have the primary signs, the swollen belly, enlarged breasts and that kind of thing, hormones going haywire. Secondary, signs, the swollen belly, and then the fetus, of course. But then the aliens take the baby, and when the woman goes back to her next gynecology appointment, there's no first primary or secondary signs of pregnancy, nor are there any signs that she ever was in the first place. Like, all the damage is done. There's no stretching of the skin, none of it.
Yeah, it's
that's spooky as hell right there.
It is creepy. I mean, we dealt with it early on because we had, I think it was 10,000 cases, no, 5,000 cases we ran across with MUFON. Well, through people we knew MUFON. I was in the early days, and we'd go out and talk to people, and they were like, yeah, they would pull out. Oh no, man! They had ultrasounds done, blood work done. You could see the baby. The baby was there, and then the baby wasn't, and there was no damage. And that's what freaked the doctors out more than anything, that there was no damage, but the hormones were fixed. So this person was going through whatever hormonal stuff that you go through when you're pregnant, and all of a sudden,
it's all turned off. The stretching is done. The swelling of any body parts that swell during pregnancy is gone.
Yeah,
there's no stretching, all of any kind of damage that had been done by the pregnancy is vanished.
I was talking to one lady who had always been worried about stretch marks, and all of a sudden, there was none. And she was kind of like, "Wait, what?" And don't ask me, guys. Yeah, all that stuff gets really creepy really fast. Because we don't know. All we know is what they tell us, that they were pregnant. They got information. You can see what the doctor says. Doctor says they were pregnant. Doctor has ultrasound. Doctor has the blood work. They're pregnant. We're talking 3 months pregnant too. Not little pregnant, well on your way to being pregnant. And then they weren't. No signs of being pregnant. No, nothing. And what I wonder is how many people this has happened to never bothered going back to the doctor. It's creepy. It's definitely creepy, Jack. Those kind of things. I mean, and how do you explain it to your other half?
How do you explain it to the law? I mean, they quite literally, if a aggressive attorney general were involved in any kind of case like this, they could, try to bring it to court. That you killed your baby somehow.
Where is it? Yeah, I mean, they could seriously ask that question. Where is it?
How many people have been either rightly and or wrongly convicted of murder without any kind of dead bodies? Quite a few.
Clara Randy. I couldn't give you a number and how many times this happened. I know the case study we did was 5,500 cases, and it creeped us all out so bad. After that, that and a lot of weird stuff started happening. It was just dangerous stuff started happening, so we kind of chilled back. No, nobody threatened us. No, nobody actually came out and said quit doing it. MUFON did, but nobody else did. Yeah, MUFON wanted me to stop.
MUFON's the one that gave you the files in the first place.
They gave me some of the files. Most of the files were obtained in other ways, but through friends and stuff in MUFON. Walt Andrews was great. I loved Walt. We did a lot of work with Walt, but I know when we sent in that thing about what happened to us in Florida, and there may have been military involved, they didn't want to talk to us, and we worked for them. They didn't want to talk to us. It's they don't
weird, that's exactly their you know.
They didn't want to have anything to do with anything that was military related.
But still, it's their wheelhouse is looking into abductions, right?
No, their wheelhouse is chasing lights. Our wheelhouse is looking at abductions. They didn't even. You know, when they started looking in abductions about 14 years after we found that ICAR.
There's the question of the evening, though.
They started their star group. Whatever they call themselves. Well,
what do they do with the babies, though? I mean,
so there's a book called Rachel's Eyes. You can go read it. And
I know the kid with the weird eyes.
So this child was a hybrid of some sort, and so much so that the government had to bring. She was in college, and they had to bring her special food to eat and stuff. And she's kind of fragile, and she stayed in college for a while, and then finally they took her out. So what really happens is when there's a hybrid, whenever they make these hybrids. So if you're good enough that you can pass everyday human life and there's no special abilities, and there's no things that make you stand out, then you can stay. If not, you go. They take you back to the ship. Yeah, and what did they do with you there? That's the question. Did they send you to the cleanup crew? Because if you're not on Earth, that means you're look too much like them, or you act too much like them, or your abilities are too much like theirs. That's the question, isn't it? And the only people you can get information on that from is the so-called moms. I say so-called because it's hard to know if these other people are actually related to anybody. I mean, anybody outside of the original mother. Like, conception without a father kind of thing.
There's the Y-Files on that Rachel's Eyes. I'm going to watch that after this.
Yeah, it's a very weird story. I interviewed the ladies a couple of times. It was a kind of sad, weird story. Oh God, that was so long ago. Of course, I'd have to actually go back through my footnotes and look. No, I haven't. It's been the last time I interviewed them was just when I was switching from Wake Up USA to UFO Undercover. That's 20 years maybe. I don't remember why. I think somebody died or something. Did I ever get the daughter? I wish. Yeah, as far as I know, she went wherever she went. No, there was a lot of rumors about this, that, and the other thing, but you mean archives? You can probably find one if you look hard enough on YouTube or on SoundCloud, but Jeffrey still has them up on Stardust Radio. Wake Up USA, a UFO study. Yes. I tried to get him to sell me the archives. He wouldn't do it. He's still mad at me. And I don't even know why he's mad at me. All I asked him to do is let's make the show bigger and put it on Pioneer Radio in Hong Kong. And he got all weirded out. No, he was 1690 Riverside, Iowa. AM 1690 Riverside, Iowa. The base Captain Kirk was born. Yes, that's where Captain Kirk was born. Y'all didn't know that? Riverside, Iowa.
Yeah. Well, Riverside, Iowa claimed it. They never really mentioned the actual city, but he does mention in a few either episodes or somewhere in one of the movies he was born in Iowa.
No, actually, he there's two places I think he mentions he's from Riverside. One of the girls asked him. He said something about being locked from his state, and then he said Riverside. And then where's the one? When then there's the one. There's another one when he's. I think he's a kid, and the guy was talking to him about it. You know what? I got him written down. I have to go find him and say, It's that was for something else. Totally.
Something. One of the first times that he says where he's from is he tells the guards at the Air Force Base when they go back in time that he's from a little place called Alpha Centauri. It's a wonderful place. You should come visit sometime.
Yeah, I remember that. So Gene, back in the day when TOS was out, after it went into syndication, you could get the Star Trek books. They had all the information in it, where he was from, what he did, who his mom and dad was, the whole 9 yards. You probably still can find them, yeah. Yeah, my mom, they were black with this weird kind of full-colored star on them. The first one
you're talking the Franz Joseph Star Trek Technical Manual, which I still have somewhere.
No, that was one of my favorite ones, the one with all the spaceships in it. I love that.
Yeah.
One. That thing was
fabulous. And it had the phaser and the communicator, had everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, this was like a handbook or something. It was a little different. But that one you're talking about was, oh no, Gene, if you're a geek, you'd love this book. It had all the specifications. I forgot how many starships were in it. It had like the evolution of the tricorder. It had all kind of crap in it. Somebody, whoever did it, really decided they wanted to write Star Trek canon.
Franz Joseph, Franz Joseph. Look it up. You can probably find copies on eBay or on Amazon.
If you're a geek, it's worth buying. Yeah, it's just a lot of reading, and you can go back and read over stuff. It gives you really a better understanding of what the Enterprise, what any of the ships are. They have the tug in there, which I didn't even know there was a Star Trek tug until
all kinds of weird. Yeah, there's a carrier. There's one with 3 warp engine nacelles.
So yeah, there's a couple of different books out there you can read, and they're all setting canon. That's what they're doing. And Kirk was actually in Riverside, Iowa. It actually has it on the sign when you pull in, the future home of Captain Kirk.
Yeah, it's still available. It's not in the original form with the black hardcover, but you can still get it on. Looks like for like $5.
Damn, that's pretty
not eBay, Amazon. Sorry.
It's cool to get if you find an original, which I doubt you can, but if you can.
It's got his blueprints in there too for like $70. There it is. Cool. All right, I'm going to put this up so people can see it because since we're geeking out a little here.
No, it was just something. When TOS was out there in syndication, it was just a lot of stuff you could read, and you could sit there and see other types of ships.
$121.
Yeah, well, that makes a little sense. It's been around for a while.
But yeah, there it is. That's the book. It's a black hard plastic covered thing. Underneath that card, it says Starfleet. If you pull that cardboard card out, underneath is a gold command shield. Let me see if they have a picture of it. I think that's the only pictures of it. It's those two. But inside are all the blueprints for all the ships, destroyers, scouts, spy vessels, tugs, carriers. Yeah. You got the phaser communicator, the tricorder, you got Dr. McCoy's equipment, the scanner, there's 3 different tricorders in it. There's a medical, there's a engineering, and sciences tricorder. I don't think they have the geology one, but it might be in there too. So maybe 4 tricorders.
Oh, they got all kind of clothes in there, Jack. Oh yeah,
very cool book.
Yeah, they got all kind of clothes in there. Sure. Matter of fact, they got patterns in there. You could use to cut clothes if you wanted to. It's crazy.
They had the uniforms and the correct uniform colors, but they weren't the correct uniform color. The actual color of the at least Captain Kirk's shirt was a green fabric called seafoam that Bill Theis, the guy who made the costumes, he bought every bolt that they had of that color. So the shirt was supposed to be originally like a light seafoam green, is the description. But the printers that printed the film, they thought the shirt was supposed to be yellow. They had no idea. No one gave them any notes. So they color corrected the film to go from the green shirt to a yellow shirt.
But they got him in a green shirt, the one with the V. It's got the
wraparound. That is the correct color. Yes.
Yeah, that's But that's the only one I remember seeing him in.
Yeah, that's the way the other shirt's supposed to look also. But like I said, the developing studio that developed the film, accidentally or intentionally, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They color corrected the shirt to look yellow. That's why it looks it doesn't look exactly yellow in the original series. It looks these are the wool fabric ones, so it was very, very hot costume.
Well,
and then later on in the 3rd season, they went to like the type of material you have on your T-shirt, They use that for the uniforms, and that's when you get the more correct green in the command shirts.
In the no, Denise. So in the Picard, Deep Space Nine, and whatchamacallit, Voyager, the command shirts were red. No, back in the day though, they listed them as gold.
Yeah,
they're listed as red. Now I don't know. I haven't really paid attention, but they look like they're going to be red in the 29th century we're in, or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, so we'll just kind of watch out for that.
You ready to geek out on the uniform? Here we go. This is the geek out. The original series
all right,
uniform.
now quick, we got to get back.
They had, first of all, the uniform started off, you have a black T-shirt. On that black T-shirt is a gold badge of the shape of your ship. Each badge, they weren't all shaped like an A. Every ship, every department, wherever you worked, whether it was a space station, whatever, you had a different patch shape for what your ship was. They were all different, but they had several different things. They had a star, they had a circle with an oval in it, and then they had a weird E. There was a red plus, and then there was a weird, like a Y, and like the pi symbol. Those are all actual symbols inside the patches.
Thank God they did away with that.
On your shirt, on your black shirt, you had that symbol that had the pi symbol on it for miscellaneous. So you were that's the miscellaneous personnel. Then you get your shirt, the tunic goes on top of it. It's either going to be red for either support services or engineering. And then you have blue for sciences and medical. And then you have green, seafoam green, for command division. And then you have the rank.
It's really cool.
You had the rank stripes would be on. If you have no rank, you're an ensign. There's nothing on the sleeves. And then in the first season, the shirts were made out of like a wool. And I have my uniforms are I'll just grab one. This is the correct green. I don't know if it'll come across, but this is the correct green that the shirt should have been.
Much like it.
That's the correct green. And then that's the symbol, the diamond there is command. But the shirt, the original tunic had a hidden zipper here on the shoulder so they could do makeup. And then on the rank, you have a solid wavy line, 2 dashes, or four dashes actually, and then another solid wavy line. That means captain. All the ranks and everything else was based off of Navy ranks and pomp and circumstance, if you will. And the color coding on the shirts, the red, blue, and green. Well, do you know what Gene Roddenberry did in World War II? Is he was on carriers sometimes, and even back then, everyone on deck on the carrier had a different colored tunic. You had red, you had green, and you had blue.
You had more than that.
You have more than that now, but back then they had red, green, and blue.
Yeah.
Red is like, I think, your fire team. Blue was like I don't know what the hell they did, and then green was probably the guys who told the ship to or you can take off.
Yeah, no, they would have been, even back in the early days in World War II, there'd have been at least 4, maybe 5 on deck. But you had to have your ordnance teams.
Yeah, but I think on deck you're only going to see 2 or 3.
No, that's not how it works. They all got to be up there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you see, basically everybody's doing support for everybody else. So it's kind of in things. So you're gonna have the guys who bring it to the elevator and bring it up the elevator, and they're gonna hand it off. They're gonna be on the deck with you until everything's out of their way, and then they'll leave. And then you'll have your guy who's going to bring it out to park it where it's going to be set. And then you'll have your guys out there who are going to be working ordnance, the guys who are going to be checking everything on the planes, the launch guy, I forgot which they used to have a good nickname for him, which for some reason I forgot. And then there's a guy inside the thing. And then there's the catapult guy. So yeah, there's actually several people out there. It's and everybody's got to be coordinated with everybody else. But the guy who's doing all the one guy, he coordinates everything. And when you see this number, they're going. As soon as that hand comes down, that jet is. Because when you bring your hand down, you always put it straight out anyway. So the jet, they just catapult was released, the jet is throttled out. That's why they do that. You know that, right? Because it allows like the catapult and the jet engines to be throttled and all to go at the same time. Yeah. Now it's a little bit more sophisticated, guys and girls.
It's a rail gun.
Yeah, basically it is.
It's an electromagnetic system that's based off the electro rail gun.
Oh no, we'll talk about it on Friday. Yeah, the F-22 is getting an upgrade. Yeah, I heard all about it. It's going to be even more beastier than it already is. The guy said guy said maybe they should just get rid of the J-35 and go ahead and start building their 6th and 7th because obviously they ain't got a prayer.
No. Don't get rid of the J-35. Just start selling it to our enemies, and then
They
when
are,
our enemies
actually.
try to use, and then when they try to, just keep doing that, and then when our enemies try to use it against us, we just flick the kill switch, boom, and they just fall out of the sky dead.
So China's supposed to be selling hypersonic missiles to Iran.
Really?
I don't know if Trump's going to. I think
what kind of distance?
I don't know, but I think if a Chinese hypersonic missile shoots down one of our planes, we're going to have a problem. I don't know if the U.S. is going to let it slide.
No, they won't. Trump won't. And if they're sending, but if that missile is long enough to reach America, you bet your ass they will send one at us.
No, this no. These are hypersonic missiles for shooting down planes and shooting at planes.
Oh, okay. They're not giving them long range.
No, if they hit one of our sank one of our carriers or shot down a bunch of our planes, we'd go ape shit. First off, we just leveled Iran into dust. Then we'd have a talk with China.
Well, that's kind of. I mean, I don't know. Since we're open mic, we can talk about this real quick. But this kind of disturbs me. Is that they keep saying that they have the right for top secret nuclear enrichment a mile underground for peaceful purposes. No one enriches nuclear fuel 1 mile or 2 underground, hidden away from everybody for peaceful purposes. Number one. Number two, the Ayatollah has been saying if the Americans launch any sort of attack or any kind of strike on Iran, that it would be very terrible. And I'm wondering now that you said that about the missiles, does he know something we don't? I mean, have they been somehow secretively? I mean, because Hitler was able to secretly build the Bismarck under the scrutiny of the entire European continent. What if the Ayatollah was able to somehow secure, long range, perhaps even ICBM type missiles capable of reaching at least early parts of the United States?
Well, if that was even closer true, Israel would have already wiped them off the face of the planet. It's Israel.
What I'm saying is, what if they're able to get it past so no one knows, even the Israelis?
I don't know.
That's kind of scary.
It's going to be hard with
the Chinese are pretty sneaky people.
Yeah, but we still bust them all the time. See, that's the problem. The Chinese aren't as sneaky as they think they are. They get their asses busted all the time. Plus, their equipment is
that's a good question.
Yeah, so people run around all the time talking about how great their tech is, but for some reason, it always turns out to be piece of shit tech. Anything they sell abroad is garbage. I mean, that's their reputation now. It's just garbage. But anyway, we don't need to be talking about that. We'll say that for Friday.
Say that for Friday's show.
Yeah. So
here's one from USA Bet. He's got a good one.
Hmm.
Are there reported reptilian abductions before the 50s? The most recent could find was in 1950s. Yeah.
Oh no! So you want reptilians? Let's see. You gotta go way back. So first off, you got all the Mesoamericans. And Native American and Native. You got all the Mesoamericans plus you got the Incans, Aztecs, Mayans, and Toltecs. So they've all reported seeing reptilians. I mean, they worship reptilians, no less.
I'm going to blow his mind here in a second.
a couple of the. Can't remember if the Incans or the Aztecs said they used to visit and sit on their power of seat with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they would physically come there and hang out with them. Now, I don't know if they were ripping all them hearts out to feed the reptilians or not, whoever sent me that, but still, man, they were definitely there. So that's 2,000, 3,000 years ago. And then if you go look at the Egyptians' writings, which is 6,000 years ago, they talk about the reptilians a lot, and they didn't fear them. Neither did the Mesoamericans. That's what's so creepy. They didn't fear them.
It goes further back than that, Joe.
I
was doing a paper in art college, Savannah College of Art and Design, for a class I was taking called Ancient Asian Art and Architecture, or Art and Culture. I forget what it was, but it had to do with art. And the class actually went back 12,000 years to people called the Homon or Jomon, Jomon. You can look them up.
Yeah, I call them the homos. Yeah, I've always, for some reason, I was calling them the homos.
It means the rope people. They invented a rope pattern they put on all of their clay, and then later on metal, what they call ding. It's a three-legged pot. Three-legged pot is very prevalent in Mexico. It becomes important later on. But anyway, the ancient Jomon report very, very similar, very, very creepily similar stories to those of the Dogon tribe of Africa on the other side of the planet. And whereas if you have these figures that are called the Dogu figures, D-O, it's got a weird symbol above it, G-U with another weird symbol. In Japan, it's called Dogu. They look like little, if you talk about the man with the hair, they look like space astronauts, but they didn't come from outer space. According to the Homon people, from my research, they came from the ocean. So if they're wearing a spacesuit, they're not wearing it in the ocean. They're wearing it. Well, actually, for these people, it was a reverse scuba device. By reverse scuba, I mean exactly this. The Jomon reported a reptilian or more like amphibian-like creature, which came from the depths of their oceans, the Sea of Japan, and taught them everything: metallurgy, animal husbandry, irrigating, making hybrid seeds, making hybrid plants, all kinds of stuff that every other culture has spoken about, of these creatures from elsewhere, teaching them advanced technology. Well, so that's where we get, I think, the very first, and maybe not necessarily be an abduction story, but it is definitely a reptilian, alien, human encounter story.
Well, so there's lots of this stuff, but the Middle Easterners used to talk about them coming and sitting and having dinner with them on several occasions. They said that the jinn had introduced them to a certain a certain type of reptilian. The Mesoamericans are all over. I mean, not the Mesoamericans. The what's the cradle of life? The Mesopotamians. They're all up in they're actually in Samaria, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. So they're basically at the start of the cradle of life as far as modern era goes. We both know life started before that point, but still, they're as far as modern day era is concerned, they've been there as long as we've been there. So that's interesting. And they haven't wiped us out, killed us, or any other thing for that. And in most cases, seem to have been giving us technologies. The Egyptians did not fear them. The Sumerians did not fear them. I don't know, most of the Mesoamericans didn't seem to fear them. One of them seemed maybe a little bit, because they did like to kill a lot of people. So not exactly sure what the hell was going on in that particular group. But other than that, they've been around a long time. They seem to have been here at least as long as the human type aliens. The Greys seem to have come a little later on, but the first two seem to have been here basically from the start. I don't know if the reptilians were already here when the humans showed up, or they had heard that the humans were here doing something and came along. But
there are also reports of a terrestrial race, an Earth reptilian type humanoid race, who probably, if it's true, they probably came from the dinosaur era.
Well, you got to ask yourself, where did Dogon come from?
Well, according to the tribes of Africa, they come from the at that time unknown Sirius C, an unknown star.
Yeah, so the reptilians are here. I guess they put them here. Maybe they had already started this project and realized that they had to somehow or another bring these two together. Couldn't have two different races on the planet. I mean, think about it like this: we're one race now. We can't fucking get along. Oh, excuse me, we can't get along. Can you imagine if we were just literally every country was a different race? Oh my god, or a different.
So there's the example in Star Trek, the original, or the Enterprise. There's Scott Bakula's shows. The Xindi had 5 distinct or 6 distinct different species. There were several humanoid species, but then there was an insect race, there was a reptilian race, there was an avian race that had been allegedly wiped out, and an aquarian race, so like dolphin, not quite humanoid, but they had they were able to talk to the humans. They were like dolphins or beluga whales, actually, more like. So think about that. If every country was a different just genome type, we would never get along.
No, we wouldn't. So it just,
no way.
It just wasn't going to happen. So I mean, where we are now, what did I just do here? Okay, sorry, I made a boo-boo, people. Let me turn that off. And I mean, where we are now is if you go from the reptilian humans from 6,000 years ago, we're fairly evolved from them, but we have not mentally evolved since that original merging. Since reptilian and humans merged together to create the species here today, we have physically evolved and we have technologically evolved, but mentally,
emotionally and mentally, no.
It doesn't seem like it. I mean, I'll give us a little credit, but for the most part, I mean, we're not murdering people every day, but well, yes, we are. Never mind.
But we are, yeah, and but that's always that's been one of the biggest questions a lot of people ask is, it's as fast as we've advanced, are we emotionally and should we have the technology we have? Basically, is the argument. Are we emotionally mature enough to have what we already have? And it doesn't seem that we are, because we're taking what we have and blowing the shit. Oh, pardon my friends, out of the planet.
Christopher, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what all goes. But as we go ahead.
We can also think about now that there is some speculation that the aliens keep saying to some abductee contactees that the experiment is almost over. They don't give anybody a time frame. Maybe that's a good question. We can, maybe Pete to some of the abductee contactees, see if they can get that answered. But what if the experiment is to create a combat species from this slave species, this once slave species? So what if that's the new genesis, that we're going to be
then we're going backwards.
Their defense and their security.
See, at first, in old days, I used to think that's what they were doing. But if that's true, then they've gone backwards. Our societies are getting more wimpy. Most of the Americans that see this, and I don't want to get into this much because this is really for a Friday night, but people always talk about who we are. Americans are explorers. They weren't immigrants. They came here as explorers. But that need for us to explore is dying out in our country. It's not near as much as it was even 50 years ago. So we're getting less to be wanting to fight and challenge things, and we just want to be status quo. So whoever's doing the thing has put it in backwards. All I can think is they want a bunch of followers. That's all I can think of it. Because I mean, really and truly, as a world, and maybe they need us to lose the will to fight. Maybe that'll be what turns us around and gets us to stop killing each other. But right now, as aggressiveness goes, the planet, even though we got a war going on in Ukraine, and we went to Venezuela.
I don't know the one to start if Iran doesn't settle down.
But still, even with that, it would still be the most peaceful time in its history. Right now, even with a war going on, this is the most peaceful time in the history of the world. And yet our clock is at 85 seconds to the midnight.
Yeah.
Figure that one out.
Yeah, I just checked it earlier today. It is still at 85 seconds.
Yeah. Let's see, U.S. Army. I'm talking about modern day abduction research. I know I got record individual abductions going back 100 years. I'm wondering if it's the same for reptilians. Reptilians, as far as we know, go back as long as the humans do, thousands of years. They show up everywhere, and there is no place in history on this
14,000 years ago is when we get first reports of reptilians, amphibian type creatures.
But to know how important they are to us, there is no societies on this planet that they don't show up in. None.
Not a one, yeah.
That just tells you how nosy they were. Well, no, see, that's what's so funny about this. You got the reptilians and humans basically bumping heads since however long they've been on this planet. They didn't start any wars. They didn't wipe everything out as far as we know. I mean, maybe the Great Flood was one of them, but still, they've been bumping heads. And then somewhere in the near past, which I don't know what that is, 100,000 years, I have no idea, 50,000 years maybe, because that's when RH negative showed up. The Greys showed up and everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Greys got here, it was time for everybody to behave or else. Well, Mike, that's what I thought. So when I first got here, I always thought the Greys worked for the reptilians. They were just some little slave race.
The initial reports early on, 70s, 80s, it was the three races were the reptilians, the insectoids, and the Greys. And it was reported the reptilians were in charge of that triumvirate, and that the Greys were like a lowly kind of slavish, robotish clone species. And that does not seem to be the case.
No, it seems to be they're the most advanced race besides the light beings. Well, maybe because of the light beings. I mean, that's why they chose the Greys whenever they found the Greys, whatever they did this. We don't know. See, that's the other thing. We don't know how advanced the Greys were when the light beings granted them guardians of the galaxy, basically. We don't. I mean, they may have been little fish in the sea, as far as we know, little insectoids.
I suspect not. I suspect that
I expect they were pretty advanced.
I think whatever the Greys' base species is, I think it's some sort of exoplanetary great ape like us, some sort of hominin species like us. Because I don't think if it was a let's say they were of a goat species, I don't think the DNA would be 100% compatible enough to where they could breed in that fashion like is written in the Bible. So I think the one thing is that in order for them to have spliced themselves into our DNA, if that's exactly the case, there has to be some sort of parallel evolutionary thing going on there between both reptilians, the Greys, the Anunnaki, and us. They all have to have come from some sort of parallel hominin species. Otherwise, they couldn't have integrated, I think, so easily with us. Even though, yes, they're very highly advanced technologically, maybe they could make hybrid species with cloning and whatnot. But an unstable species that wouldn't be able to breed. Creating us, there has to be some sort of parallel biology there.
You don't know. They may have been advanced enough they could have wrote it themselves. It's
possibly we could be in completely improvised species, 100%.
Well, no, Dean, we got to go. It's about a minute after, so we're going to get out of here.
Yes, Michelle is coming up.
No, we got a good bit into. We get a little sidetracked. We got a good bit into it. No, excuse me. I was talking with one of our advertisers at that time. We'd try to behave more and stick to topics. Well, no, we get. Well, see, that's a weird thing. Sometimes we get bitched at about going off topic. Sometimes we don't. It just depends what we go off on topic about. Some people like when we go off on topic. It's a thing that they might want to hear about. Sometimes we geek out. It's just, hey, what can I tell you? It's how it is. No, we try to behave. Heidi, what you doing, Heidi? I'm not inviting the devil's wife on here. What are you, crazy, man? I met her not that long ago. She's She makes him look like a sweetheart. Hell yeah. Get the hell out of here with that. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Remember, Jay, you still on with Jeffrey on Fridays, huh?
Yeah, I'll be on next Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, stop by and check them out. Their numbers are down a little bit. You need to get on them, man. Get on them a little bit. Get them over there. Get them over 1 million. Get them over 1 million.
Jeff's just been trying to get some shows going. He hasn't been getting a lot of big number guests lately, but maybe we'll get something coming up.
Problem is when you do radio as long as we do, it's hard sometimes. You get tired of bringing the same people on over and over. Oh yeah, Dean. Yeah, Nick's. I don't know how long he's got. I think they said 6 months.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, well, you liked him or not, there's no reason to be. No, there's no reason to be mean to him. No. Oh, I didn't agree with him, but I'm not going to hate on him because he's got cancer. That's just shitty. No reason.
He was at least very interesting to listen to talk about the subject at hand. That's for sure. It's that British accent.
He had issues with people, but I mean that's anybody in the field is going to have issues with people. You're not going to be able to convince everybody about everything. It's just how it is. No, well, he left the British. He was working for them, and a lot of people said it wasn't quite what he said he was. And I said, so the man's dying. Leave the man alone. He came out, at least he admitted that he's going. I hope he finds happiness on the other side. Hey, at least he'll get to the secret, won't he? He'll finally get to know, was I right or was I wrong? Shit. That's the hard part when you're going across the other side. Oh, uh-oh. E.T. loves us all. Actually, if you want to know what their real goal is to get the world's cholesterol down so that they won't get so much cholesterol when they're eating us. You wanted the truth. I'm just telling you. Yeah, they said we're like Wagyu beef. We're way too fatty.
We cause heart attacks.
Yes. No, we'll talk about Wagyu beef on Friday. Yeah.
Is it Wagyu? I don't know how you pronounce it.
I don't know. That's the bad part is I've eaten in a dozen restaurants by now. Everybody pronounces it differently.
Yeah, everyone says a different name for it. Same with Kobe. It's either Kobe or Kobe.
Well, last time I was in LA, it was Wagyu.
Yeah. I've heard Wagyu.
And I was somewhere the other day, they were calling it Wagyu.
Oh, hell, just call it Yahweh.
I just
am what I am. Stuffed steak. Just eat me.
Last time I was talking to the guy that I was getting a hamburger, I said, I just want regular old beef. He's like, what? I said, that shit's nasty, man. Old greasy ass beef. I said, I like my meat. I said, I don't want a filet lean kind, but I like, at least 80-20. Not, I mean, when you look at Wagyu, it's got to be like 50-50, man.
Yeah.
It's not good for you. Anyway, we're going to go, guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning into United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. We should have catch Jay on Friday. Then we'll be here Friday night. I got a lot of news to catch up on. Of course, we just had the State of the Union to go talk about. I've heard a lot of good stuff about the state. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff. I've heard the Democrats whining and crying too. So we're going to get to hear what they say. I listened to their rebuttal thing, which was a little odd. We'll talk about
side protests. Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, that stuff was weird. We're going to talk about that too. Yeah, they had a bunch of weird stuff they did on the side doing.
O'Leary was right. They're nuts.
And then we're going to talk about what some other Democrats had to say about what they were saying. It was he broke a record, I think, 1 hour 48 minutes. Yeah, it was long, and but he brought in a lot of people. Yeah. Well, he brought in he had the hockey team in there because they won the gold, so they brought them in there.
That was cool.
Yeah, and then he had the mother, the girl who got stabbed in the neck. She was in there, and Kirk's wife was there, and other people were there, and then he had to talk about how good the economy did, how everything's changing around. And the funny part was, and now we'll say that for Friday. Y'all get to hear about the polls on Friday. So there's been a lot of polling, a lot of contradiction poll, a lot of good stuff that Jay and I will analyze for y'all and show you how polls work. If you don't have to take us, just go listen to the last 18 months. All those polls, we figured them out really quick. And if you don't believe it, then you go listen for the next 3 or 4 election years before that. Polls are a good thing.
NBC said we covered them better than anyone during the election.
Yes. And then APC's got 5 polls I'm going to be putting up on maybe tomorrow. And those will be basically about the same things. But we do things a little different. We'll put up a poll. We don't share the poll until it reaches 10,000. And we actually ask in separate polls, what is your politics? We'll ask you 5 side questions that go with the primary question. So that way we get to tell you, this percentage thinks about the president, this percentage thinks about this, this, and this. So you actually get a feel for what's really going on. Actually, he gained 10 points doing the speech. 10 points. That's a jump, my friend. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio. Be sure to go and check out Miss Cat Ward. No, that's Cat Ward. It's the wrong show, my friend. It's Michelle DeRoche.
DeRoche is next.
You just jumped ahead of yourself there.
You better email her and apologize.
Anyway, y'all go check out the Outer Realm. Will be coming on in 3 minutes. So go check her out. See what's going on over there. Tell her hi. Give her a little, tell her we love her. Give her some rubbings, rub her in the head and stuff. Yeah.
Sorry, I confused you with Cat Ward.
You're right. On that note, good night, everybody.